In 2001, as a graduate student at the University of Minnesota, I had a chance to be in Gombe doing my research using satellite imagery, GPS, remote sensing. And I was invited by the Tanzania National Parks to help them map for the first time the boundary of Gombe National Park, which is a long story in itself because the park was established in 1968. And one particular area called Kitunda Hill was really difficult to map. Lots of tension between the local communities and the park, where the boundaries are, and how to interpret the 1968 law. Well, a few years later, part of the Google Earth Outreach team and Street View team, I was able to be on the same hill again with a bunch of cameras on my back. And originally, I thought this is the wrong hill. And now look, there is all these trees here. If you compare with the images in the back then, no trees were present. And another part of the story is that the gentleman in green, the ranger equipped with a gun, was there, where in this image, this ranger is actually working with us. He's part of the community forest monitoring program, is a village forest monitor, and he's equipped with a tablet, using it to monitor and patrol forest and protect forest bounding the Gombe. So the story how we went from bare hills to hills covered with regenerating trees and working with local communities as partners is part of our Voyager story, which I encourage you to look at it. But in essence, it's going back to Jane's vision in the 80s when she flew over Gombe and realized that there is no chance for us to protect this little island and chimpanzees if we don't work with people, if we don't address their livelihood needs, and if we don't work with them as partners. So this has been the key approach how the Jane Goodall Institute have been implementing all the programs, including how we have been using conservation science and technology, how we're designing the landscapes such as village forest reserves, how we're enforcing them, helping communities like Kashindi Msafiri, which is another forest monitor, to patrol and enforce his land use plans. And Kashindi and his community did some amazing job. You can see how he was able in his community to transform these bare hills in 2005. You can see the dots where he was patrolling over the years into these hills where the Miombo woodlands are coming back naturally because they are protected. So digital globe imagery is essential. And in the view from above, we're working on looking into drones, how we can complement this view. Presence on the ground with ODK is important, but imagine if we had the street view perspective, how this forest used to be back in 2005 and how they changed. So we knew, we work with communities like Kashindi's village since 2009 with Google Earth Outreach implementing mobile technology all over Africa. We know it's working. So our question was immediately, can this be another tool in the toolkit which in connecting to these mobile devices which they already use on the ground? So we took the opportunity and get a camera on loan from a Google Street View team, went back to Gombe and started doing some of this transects. You can see here the track is from 2014 tracker with images from 360 camera. So even though we try to make sure that we are back in the same month, you can see the changes in phenology. This is how the camera looked like in 2017, and this is the original tracker. But you still can see the big shrubs and the trees are there. Some major changes, like this, in this case, it's an old kitchen. In 2014, the story goes that a big black snake, mamba, used to live there. Well, now it got transformed completely into this gift shop. I don't know if the mamba moved in or not. But the point is that you can easily see the structural changes, but what I'm excited is that I can recognize the trees from tracker and from the camera. I can also recognize waterfalls, which is another sacred site. I can see the sediments changes. I can see, general vegetation changes in this savanna woodland. And also when you go a little bit deeper in the forest, of course, there is more vegetation, but even there you can see the big trees, like this 4 trees, again, showing up in the canopy. So this is really exciting because it looks like we could start looking at some and compare the vegetation changes. We brought the camera back to Kashindi, and now he can show you not only how his village looks like from above, from satellites, again, 2005, 2014, but also on the ground, how this forest actually are regenerating as we speak. So it's very exciting because this imagery allows us as partners of people like communities like Kashindis and others to tell the story to the world and integrate it immediately in our Voyager stories and our education and roots and shoots stories. And we cannot bring millions of people to Gombe, but the video for the street view was viewed more than 11 million times, which is amazing. And we looked at this map for the last couple of days, and we all know that Kashindi and his colleagues have a lot of work to do in Africa. And I'm looking forward to continue working with Google Earth Outreach and Google Street View and other teams in working with Kashindi and other communities to put Africa on the map. So thank you very much.
Have you somehow measured how the capacity building has evolved through time, through the introduction of all this technology? I mean, if now, for instance, the rangers or the monitors can recognize better the species and so on. The question, is it clear?
It's interesting. I mean, first of all, my experience with working with local communities is that they always have huge amount of knowledge. And they know so much more than many of us coming. And they look at the landscapes both from recognizing species, maybe with local names, but also seeing the unseen, such as sacred spirits and so on. So it's interesting because as we have been implementing this, our focus was not on data and the data quality. Our focus was on empowering them and engaging them in this process. But obviously it's a question which would be interesting to look into because we have these data sets, and it would be interesting to sit down with some researchers and academic scientists to look at those changes.
Thank you.